Hi everyone, it's Sunday, January 15th, time for another HideNet Week in Review. I'm Vera Dordick. Let's start with the U.S. market, which remains weekly steady. While some sales were reported at $1 better, most of the sellers acknowledged that they couldn't repeat the same price again. And reports on sales volumes varied from good to rather poor. Looking at heavy Texas steers, prices were generally in the same range. Volume sales, all for 64, 66-pound selections. Automotive hides were also relatively steady, although demand is lagging. In the cow sector, dairy cows saw decent interest again this week, but larger sellers say that it wasn't possible to push up prices like it was last week. Combined export sales for the week ending January 5th were 423,900. And combined shipments were a meager 199,700. Estimated slaughter for the week ending January 14th was 661,000, and that's back up to the hefty levels seen during most of 2022. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo says that few negotiations are in progress and prices remain largely unchanged. Much of this is because demand for the mass market is at a standstill, he says, and most tanners are waiting for the new programs to be defined and the starting of the year of the shows to take place. And in fact, Pitti Uomo just took place and Riva Shoe runs through Tuesday. And the main one for us, Lineapel, is not until the third week of February. In the UK and Ireland, slaughter remains high, but no one has stocks of unsold hides, so they're trying to push prices higher, but so far without success. The British 36 plus ox is at 83 to 88 cents sterling per kilo, and there were some slightly better prices achieved in Asia on a per piece basis. In Ireland, the price is 95 cents to €1 per kilo. Looking at European bulls, the market is stable, but then there really isn't much demand except for the highest quality level. Northern German bulls are still unchanged at €1.10 to €1.15 per kilo for the 40-plus kilo selection. And meanwhile, the southern hides have prices that are much higher, as they do most of the time. Andrea says that for European cows, asking prices are up by 5 cents, but then sale prices haven't changed. As with bulls, the demand that exists is really focused on the top of the range. And when it comes to the veal sector, prices are pretty stable and the situation remains rather balanced. In his analysis, Andrea discusses the scenario for consumer demand in Europe and what's going on with production right now. From South America, editor Ronald Guiel reports that raw material prices were stable this week, with fresh hides selling at $1.11 per kilo. The reference price of TR1 was also steady at 62 cents in dollars per square foot. Other Latin origins were stable this week overall. And in other news from Brazil, the country's December exports of hides and skins totaled 83.2 million, which is up by 3.2% over November, but it was still 31.5% lower than December of 2021. For all of 2022, exports dropped by almost 14% in value and 18% in volume compared to last year. The CICB analysis shows that in terms of square meters, 10.9 million were exported in December, and that's just 1.3% more than November, but 14.3% less than December last year. These reductions during the second part of the year strongly reflected in the total export figures, and numbers were down by 13.8% in value and 18.3% in volume compared to 2021. From elsewhere in Latin America, Argentina saw Calzatex invest in a new $1.3 million plant in La Pampa. In Chile, fashion prices declined in December. Ecuador's footwear industry is going to benefit from a new free trade agreement with China. In Mexico, Intermoda 78 opens its doors to exhibitors from 15 countries. In Paraguay, the Frigorifico Los Lazos is going to begin construction in April. And in Uruguay, the fashion sector saw its exports lower in 2022. That is all we have for this week. And until next week, good night from HideNet.